The story, by the way, that I've been telling people ivermectin. Linda, is that not the one thing that I kept saying? There's not a single study that I've seen that shows that it works.
100%.
So not only is Hannity a liar, but the person he asked for validation there also a liar, because turns out that Hannity was in fact one of the goons promoting ivermectin as a treatment for COVID. And I just want to thank Media Matters for doing the work for us, because we wanted to put together a compilation video. Turns out we didn't need to do that because they did. Here's Hannity promoting ivermectin.
The story, by the way, that I've been telling people ivermectin. Linda, is that not the one thing that I kept saying? There's not a single study that I've seen that shows that it works.
100%.
Ivermectin, as well as other proactive treatments and practices, were already helping COVID-19 patients all across the country. Therapeutics, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, Regeneron. When you talk about ivermectin and Regeneron and incredible therapeutics that are now being used to treat not just breakthrough cases, but all cases. That includes, yes, the monoclonal cocktail known as Regeneron, the Eli Lilly version of Regeneron, even, yes, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. And listen, this is my business, so I'm constantly reading. They've never heard of Regeneron or ivermectin. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, that show that taken early, it can mitigate symptoms of COVID-19.
There's no evidence that it works.
Looks like you did promote ivermectin and also monoclonal treatments. You know,
I'm anti-monoclonalism, actually.
Right. John, I mean, look, I have a theory on why he's trying to, erase the notion that he was a proponent of using a drug that actually didn't help people recover or help people prevent getting COVID. But I'll get to some more details about what he was actually up to in just a moment. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, it's laughable. It is, the very attempt is based on an outdated assumption that, well, surely no one was listening to all those times I spoke. Surely no one was recording it. Surely no one has the transcripts. Dozens of times he made these claims about ivermectin, and not just claims about, well, this is a thing that maybe could help. There should be studies. That would be a reasonable thing. You could say that about virtually any piece of medicine. That would be the safe, responsible thing to say before we had the studies. Once we started to get the studies showing that it didn't help, that would even be irresponsible. But he did much worse. He implied that it didn't need to be studied, that it was already helping people, that and a number of other things that haven't been demonstrated to be able to do that. I am a little bit surprised. Not that the attempt failed so horribly, but that he would care to rehabilitate his image at all. I don't even understand what the goal is there, because most of the people on the right, despite study after study after study coming out, they don't feel the need to change their position. Remember, the research that right-wingers are doing does not involve scientific work. It doesn't matter how many meta-analyses come out. They're not reading them. Hannity would be perfectly safe, I think, to keep pushing ivermectin for the next 10 years.
Yeah, you're so right about that. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why is Hannity now trying to, usually they don't care. They either just move on or they double down despite new evidence showing that ivermectin doesn't actually work. Why did he feel the need to kind of rehabilitate his image here and make it seem as though he was not promoting the use of ivermectin when he clearly was? And by the way, I can't decide whether Sean Hannity is just like a habitual liar or if he's just so stupid that he doesn't think that people can go back to the tapes and see what he said in the past. The internet's littered with videos of him promoting ivermectin. So does he think we're dumb or is he dumb?
I think that there's a couple of things that might be working here. I think that if you were to dive into the brain of Sean Hannity, I bet he thinks that he is less of a dogmatic grifter than some of the others. I bet he seriously thinks Tucker Carlson, that guy is 100% fake. All of it is artifice. All of it is crafted towards achieving the audience that he wants. I'm a more old school Republican that actually tells it like it is. So maybe once or twice he did say that he wasn't sure about ivermectin, or maybe he just thinks it would have been reasonable to do so and he wants to believe good things about himself, and so that's what he thinks. I don't know, because the issue about this, and the reason it's important that we spotlight the attempted backtracking, is not just that they're lying and that Sean Hannity did push ivermectin, not as much as many other people on Fox did. They all boosted it for months and months and months, but that existed inside of the context where every other opportunity they had to be a part of the shared solution, they went in the exact opposite direction. Not just encouraging people to stake all of their hopes on medicine that would be demonstrated to not actually help, but to not use the medicine that does actually help, and to not socially distance, to not wear masks. All of these things, they were wrong on every single step of the way. And so it's even more laughable for Sean Hannity to choose one tiny area and try to rewrite his history in that. Dude, we know everything that you said and did for 2 years. There is no washing the blood off of your hands or the hands of your collected network.
So true. And just to give you more details, ivermectin was mentioned 25 times on Hannity from December of 2020 through early April of 2022. Good for the fourth most mentions of any Fox broadcast. Hannity repeatedly told his viewers that ivermectin was one of the several incredible therapeutics with proven effectiveness against COVID-19. Now look, I think that he's also kind of reacting to a pretty definitive study that we talked about on this show recently. It's the latest study disproving that ivermectin is effective in treating COVID or even serving as a preventative measure. And the study, which compared more than 1,300 people infected with the coronavirus in Brazil who received either ivermectin or placebo, effectively ruled out the drug as a treatment of COVID. There's really no sign of any benefit, said Dr. David Boulware, an infectious disease expert at the University of Minnesota. And look, the lies that were told by people like Hannity did have an impact. Like it's hard to quantify just how many people ended up dying because they decided to take ivermectin in lieu of a free and effective vaccine, which by the way, I'm super grateful that I took, and I'm grateful that I'm fully vaccinated. And I'm not saying that it's gonna be the case for everyone because everyone's different, but I wouldn't say great, but I felt pretty okay during my coronavirus stint, okay? I was a little fatigued. There was one day where I was a little congested, and that was it. And I'm so grateful that there was a free vaccine that prevented me from getting hospitalized, from getting severely sick. So despite all the evidence that ivermectin was not useful for COVID, let's go to the last graphic here. The Tennessee Senate had ended up passing a bill. They passed this last week that would allow citizens to get ivermectin without a prescription. Senate Bill 2188 passed in the Senate, the Tennessee State Senate, of course, with a vote of 23-6. The bill would authorize ivermectin suitable for human use to be sold or bought as an over-the-counter medication in Tennessee without a prescription. Pharmacists and other licensed healthcare providers would not be required to provide a consultation prior to the sale either. Great, a lot of big brains in the Tennessee Senate.
They do a lot of their own research, but they don't need no stinking stupid pharmacists telling them what the medicine does or doesn't do. Really fast. There is a hypothetical world where the obsessive looking for the next thing that's gonna save us against COVID would make sense. Whether it's hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin or colloidal silver, it would make sense that a certain group of people would be like, I will take literally anything and I don't care if there's any evidence, if they took everything. And they take almost everything. Joe Rogan, when he got sick, he was just like plucking used needles off the beach and jabbing it in his skin. But They don't want the actual preventative measures. They don't, that's the thing that makes no sense. All of their behavior is consistent with someone who has no reasonable risk aversion and is so terrified of getting sick that they will pump literally anything into their body, except that they won't take anything that is actually demonstrated to help. Even though it was supposedly developed and boosted by the guy, Donald Trump, that they love more than anyone else. That is what is so fundamentally unreasonable about this entire thing.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.